Good morning and welcome back. Welcome back to Who Am I? Who am I? It's an interesting question and it encompasses so many things. We're going to talk about the field. We're going to talk about our physical and vibrational nature. We're going to talk about the laws of the universe. We're going to talk about how to focus. What the meaning of your focus and attention is. And how focus and attention is literally the currency of the universe. What's being looked at, what's noticed, what the attention is going to, that's where the interesting part is. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about me a little bit. Sometimes my own life and my own experiences will be a part of the narrative. It has to be because I don't have any other reference. So since I'm your host for the next hour, and a whole lot of this is going to be coming through me, well, sometimes we're going to talk about me and my family and who I am and where I came from and why I think the way that I think. Because, that all matters. Because you don't need to think the way I think. I think the way I think because of who I am and where I've been and what's happened to me and all that. And you are doing the exact same thing from where you are. And God bless you for it. That's exactly what you should be doing. And honestly, I am not trying to get anybody to think like me. It's just that what every one of us is doing is actually important. And how it reflects on the meaning of everybody else is also important. So I want to see what you think. I really want to see what you think. Not because, and we're not going to debate it, because there isn't, when we debate, then some of what we're talking about gets shaved away. And it's less. I'm trying to add up the picture into a great, almighty wholeness. And so I want to see what you're looking at, but I'm not going to take any of it away. We don't have to be the same. But our ideas about things can enlighten each other, can fill out the picture, flesh it out for us. Like the blind men and the elephant. I'm telling you that analogy is so profound. Think about it. Meditate on that one. Because there's really big echoes and reflections of that idea swirling in the world around you, Addition consciousness, I call it, as opposed to subtraction consciousness. Those are those or people instead of the and people. I'm an and person. And the debaters, the cynics, the arguers, I say that kind of facetiously because I've been an arguer all my life. I have been fine-tuning the picture, but I have come to realize that in a really profound way, every single person's perspective has a meaningful amount of validity. Everyone is right. Everyone is right. Now, conversely, also, especially when if you push your rightness or argue about your rightness or exhibit resistant behavior in any way, you achieve a kind of wrongness too. So most people are some degree of wrong too, and even I am. I know that I am. And so it is with great humility that I come into this space and do this Who Am I show, because I absolutely am not saying that I'm right and you're wrong, so please listen to me. It's more like everybody can add value, can add understanding, can add bits of the picture that will help you better understand your side better. It is like the blind man and the elephant. Um, if so, the elephant is what are you going to make the elephant? Usually, I make the elephant religion, but the elephant could be the Almighty. And when I say the Almighty, my definition of the Almighty is literally everything, the allness, the everything that is other than my physical body, but actually even my physical body is part of the Almighty. So that isn't even an exception. So the Almighty is everything. The Almighty. Amen. So, who am I? Who am I, and how does this whole system work? First of all, you've got to understand that you are important, that you are valuable, that you are real. You possess an important aspect of a very important thing. It's taken me a long time to finally start to just see it. And it's just so gentle and not really anything. It's surprising that it takes you so long to see your value this way, to see your reality, to see your place in the wholeness of it, how important it is. It's like the allness is the ocean. So I know people have made this analogy before. This is not a big old deal. The Almighty is the ocean, and you are a drop of water. But you're more than a drop of water, because the drop of water, the way that it's like a lens, it's like a reflective lens. And within the drop of water that you possess is reflected the entire ocean. You possess in a tiny little mirror a reflection of the entire thing. And through that reflection, you possess every one of the frequencies involved with everything. Everything that's going on everywhere. Everything that's going on all over your planet. Everything that's going on the other side of the universe. Now, those two packets of information are coming at you in different scales, because the information coming to you from the other side of the universe doesn't have as much relevance to your immediate life, probably, or as you are focused in this moment. And so the stuff that the information flow of the data immediately around you is coming at you primarily, but all of the information is there. And if you would learn how to find it, see, I haven't learned all of these things. I can just see the structure of it. And then when I hear gurus talking about the things that they have done, like Nassim Haramein had a really amazing story that I heard. He said this, he was talking to somebody, he was in Lithuania with the guy who is the head of Mind Valley, and I can't remember what his name is. Good looking man. And he was talking about having lived with a friend of his, and his friend had a couple little girls. And he bet the little girls that he could change his nose. He had a hook, a prominent bump on his nose, like a patrician hawk nose. One of those kind of things, a little more of a bump on his nose. And he bet them that he could, because they were talking about stuff. And he bet them all the money in their piggy bank. It turned out to be like $20 in change. And he did a meditation about an hour. He said it took him about an hour as he traced back through the spirals to find, because we are spin, and our life is spin, and all of the particles of the body that make us up are spinning, each in their own And you can trace your spin back through the spiral of your life. Spin back from where we are as the planet has spun, and then our own, whatever you trace, go all the way back. He described it going back to the womb. He traced his life all the way back to there, and then his father entered into it, literally, actually, and then he traced that back, and he found the gene. How would you even recognize that vibrationally, knowingly? Somehow he just till you get back to where you know it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, the next morning he scared the crap out of the little girls, who ran screaming as soon as they saw him, because the bump on his nose was less. It was visibly less. So there are things that we can do. I know there are. I haven't learned them. I have a genetic disorder myself. Now, his wasn't a disorder, it was just a genetic characteristic. And I could look at mine as the same thing, a genetic characteristic. I don't have to judge it. Just go find the damn frequency and fix it, and fix my eyes so that I can see. I can see, but I'm losing pixels. I got a weird thing going on with my macula. It's not macular degeneration, not the classic age-related macular degeneration. It is Stargardt's disease. If anybody ever hears my show and knows anything about this and can help me, not necessarily from, you don't have to know anything about Stargardt's, but I would like to know how to find the frequency of my genes. Find the frequency of where that Stargardt's thing is off a bit and clear it up so that I can process vitamin A, so that I quit building up this tacky substance on the back of my macula, obscuring, kind of blurring. It's sort of blurring my vision, blearing my vision, sort of like morning sleep that you can't blink away, and it just it's making it harder and harder for me to clearly see. And then I got a doctor who's got me on some eye drops that makes my vision quite variable, which is really interesting. I haven't minded it, but it's starting to get annoying because I can't really get a real firm grip on clear focus. So the less I can see in the physical details of the world around me, the more that my vision is it moves to my mind's eye, you know, that place where I know big things, not the place where I'm looking at specific things on the grid around me. That's where my eyesight is getting less. And so this is how my calculations, my equations have worked me into this place where, so things are always working out for me. I know that. Moment to moment, things are always working out for me, and I'm either seeing it and I'm in on it, or I'm not seeing it, and sometimes I might be in resistant behavior, in which case I'm not actually optimizing the way things are working out for me. But I know that things are always working out for me, and so if for some reason I'm going blind, somehow that is working out for me. Somehow that is making it easier for me to do something that my inner being knows very much is what will make me happy. Is what I'm expanding to, what I'm evolving to, that somehow going blind for the moment is working out for me. Now, part of me doesn't actually like that very much. And so I would like to get what I'm getting out of being blind while also being able to see. So I'm trying to put my vision on the things that being blind was sort of focusing me on, so that I can get that. Because my inner being wants me to see these things, wants my mind's eye, my crown chakra, and my my throat chakra. They want to speak. They want to. I don't know. I don't know who's doing this. I just know that I'm called. I'm called to do this. It's like just getting good at getting my inner thoughts to just blab out loud. And other people have said that they sound like their own inner thoughts, which I find very interesting. We are all in this together. We really are. We are all one, actually. There is only one of us here. Now, obviously, that's not true. But you know what? If you look down at your own body and said the words, "There is only one of us here," in reference to your own body, even to that you would be wrong because there's not one of you here. There is some 50 to 100 trillion of you that make up the one that is you. How hard is it to imagine that this pattern goes farther? You know, that the one that we all are as humanity is made up by the 8 billion of us, individual cells. As above, so below. Actually, Bruce Lipton has a wonderful book. I love this book. What is the name of it? It's called... Okay, I found it. Spontaneous Evolution. That was the book. But he's got a bunch of other books too. The first one I read was Biology of Belief. That one's really good. And The Wisdom of Your Cells. I haven't read that one. He's got another one, The Honeymoon Effect, which he talks about the effect of love, being in love, and what that does to your cells, to your being, to your body, and why. He, through studying the behavior of cells, and then adding in a touch of quantum physics, he found his spirituality. And he totally was not a spiritual person, but he sees the field that connects us all together. But the thing about the spontaneous evolution thing is that this is the next step in our evolution, recognizing that we are one being as the field of humanity on planet Earth. Now, I realize that that's a bit of a leap, in a way. If you're all focused down on the ground in physical specifics, it seems like that it's not true that we are one. But we really are. We are one morphogenetic field. And if we would, especially if we would consciously understand this, and be a little nicer to each other, a little kinder to each other, soothe one another into one's better behavior, understand one another into better behavior. I think we need to lean into sports a little more. We need to settle our grievances on the field, not on the battlefield, on the sports field. I think there's a real reason why we do that, and it really matters to a lot of us. The sports world matters to a lot of us. Playing it as individuals, following it, the professional teams, the college teams. Sports is important. It's not frivolous. Everything's important. The growing of food is important. All of our collective systems are important. Our healthcare, communications, transportation, distribution, energy systems, all of this. We work collectively. We are a great super organism, and we should do it consciously. And we should do it intentionally. And we should do it knowing who we are. Knowing that you can play the business card, you can play the business field appropriately. Go out there into the business world and think about what would be a great business that you could offer unto the rest of the group. Well, what kinds of things do we need? We need places to stay. So like hotels, motels, Airbnbs, hostels, all kinds of those kinds of things. But the Airbnb is an absolute incredible new invention, and it's going to allow for us to flow around the planet visiting one another without the disruption of the hotel thing. We can just, the hotel center is also a good idea, but it doesn't need to be the whole picture. Some people will want to go stay in hotels, and there will be space for some hotels. But the Airbnb is great, and it allows regular human beings to participate in that thing. Another thing we'll need is eateries, of course, and then you have to have the people that grow all the food. Now, right now we got big ag. We need to shave the big ag down to smaller ag. One of the reasons that we're doing it, big ag right now is the only one who can produce food in massive enough quantities that it's cheap enough that it'll feed us all. So, okay, it can do that. But it needs to do it better than it's doing it. It needs to do it more intentionally and more in alignment with the flow of life and reality around us. Actually, it doesn't need to be big ag. Well, the reason that big ag is the one who can do it is because of our energy systems. It all comes down to the energy systems, and we need to change our energy systems. We need to understand source. We need to understand source energy, 0 point energy, the matrix, the field, the quantum field, whatever you want to call this. We need to understand it. The vacuum. That's actually what it is, the quantum vacuum. Vacuum fluctuations become vacuum engineers. That's what we need to do. And it will relieve all the pressure off of the planet's ecosystems. Carbon footprint will be a thing of the past. Won't even be a thing anymore. It'll be a part of the history books. We hunted the whales almost to extinction because that was our source of fuel. And then we found a better way. And then we burned the old dinosaurs, the last rays of ancient sunlight. We burned those up until the point that the planet was coughing, starting to get cancer, autoimmune disorder, and then we found a better way. We're in our caterpillar stage right now. We're eating the bush bear and getting ready to crystallize and come forth as the butterfly that we really are, the playful otters that we are to the universe. But the only way we can really become who we are is we need to know who we are. We need to do it intentionally and consciously with our physical conscious minds. We need to get our physical conscious minds engaged in what our full vibrational connected minds, our overview soul, what it already knows. We are all in this together. The enemy is the polarity, not each other. Our problem is how we're wielding these energies without understanding how they work. We keep releasing the demon from under the land of Xanth. Does anybody know that analogy? Piers Anthony did a series of books, the Xanth series, and there's got to be 30 of them. They're little paperback sci-fi fantasy books, magic. The first one is A Spell for Chameleon, if anybody wants to go over. And the demon Xanth, apparently, and that relates to the mathematical formula x to the nth power. That relates to, I can't remember where I found that one. Is that natural logarithm? It's somewhere in mathematics you find that one, x to the nth. It's an important equation. It's involved in an important logarithmic equation of some sort. Can't remember what it is, though. Anyway, that's what Piers Anthony has used for, that's what where Xanth is coming from. But in one of the books, the demon has escaped from under the land and the magic is gone. The magic is gone. And they have to, the whole, the book, the plot of the book involves trying to get the demon locked back under the land of Xanth. And, he's actually quite dangerous. But if he's locked up properly where he's supposed to be, he gives magic to the whole field. But you got to understand also that we are unleashing the demons upon ourselves and each other by not understanding our emotional energies. When you seriously allow your negative self to drive your vehicle, especially bad when you join up with other negatives, to a negative purpose of some sort. Start watching yourself, because there's darkness there that you may not realize at first, because you're a nice person. The people that you're talking to are nice people. The thing that you're mad about, there's a reason to be mad about it. It's a bad thing. Needs to be fixed. Somebody's responsible. But you better watch it, because the momentum of negativity, that negative chaos, that negative thing, it's an organizational force also. It is chaotically organized, but it is organized the same way a hurricane is organized. And that hurricane is going to blow through the field and rip all of what's on the ground apart. So just be careful about your negative self. I learned personally a long time ago that I am best served if the moment I go into any kind of negative at all, I sit on my hands and I think it through. I wait it out. I add it in. I find my real position on the situation. I don't go off on a half-assed position. Yeah, okay, I do feel kind of angry about this thing, but that's not all that I feel. And it certainly isn't most of what I feel, and it isn't the most important part of what I feel. So I no longer act on my angry. Well, there's a very minor thing that every once in a while I stamp my foot and throw cards. But actually, so my husband and I play cribbage, but we've invented our own game, and we call it Crazy Cribbage. It's got a bunch of different rules to it, a few additions. There's more ways to make points. There's a poker element, because we used to play cribbage, and you'd get a great poker hand, and you're like, man, I wish we were playing poker. Well, now, so there's a way to make points from that poker aspect. So you got your cribbage aspect, and there's a poker aspect going on too that adds a few more points and adds the poker value, so that at least you aren't wistfully looking at that four of a kind going, man, I wish we were playing poker, or that straight flush, or even the full house. Anyway, we even have, there's almost guidelines for throwing cards. There are certain ways where if the person comes surprisingly from behind and sweeps across the finish line in front of you in a most discombobulating way, throwing cards is actually it's almost part of the and that cribbage will make me mad. It'll make me mad for about 3 minutes, and then, but I don't get mad much. I don't have much of a negative self. Now, in a bigger way, I might. It all depends on if somebody really. We'll see. I have my formulas. But I do believe that you are best served if you sit on your hands until the storm passes, because your negative self, although it is you, it is only a partial you. And you are best served if the whole you is present every time you make any kind of significant actions. don't act in any kind of significant way unless you are all there. And you'll know that you're all there because it feels good to be whole, and it doesn't feel good to be not whole. Pull yourself together. Who are you? Who are you? Well, what I think you are is I think you are the sum total of all the love you have ever seen, felt, known. You are the love. And so what have you done with the love that you have felt in the past? Look behind you. Where is it? This is how you can tell where it is, because and not everybody has all their love with them. Some of them have left it in the road behind them, along with the memory of their ex. They've just left it behind. So I don't love my ex anymore. I hate my ex. And now you don't have access to any of the love that you gave your ex when you loved them, because you did. You did. And as soon as you decided that you went your material, you decided you didn't love them anymore. And now you don't have access to the love anymore. The thing is you don't need to ever not love your exes, even the ones you hate. You can still love them. You can remember the love that you had for them and be cognizant of why it's not a good idea that you are with them anymore, because, maybe they didn't bring out your best self. Maybe you were never your best self when you were with them. Or maybe that was then and this is now, and, they've gone their way and you've gone yours, and that's okay. But it is important that you remember all of your love, because that's who you are. You are all of the love that you have ever spent. It's that part of it that you are. So you need to go back and separate your love from your ex. What part of it was you, and what part did you love? There were things about them that you loved. You might say, well, but I was wrong about them. I thought that they were this, and I loved all of that. But then I found that they weren't, and then now I feel this. Now, this is funny. This kind of leads into Bruce Lipton's book, The Honeymoon Effect. It's really interesting how you are focusing on something and what's happening to you. There's a big connection. While you're in love, you're focused in such a way that the person that you feel that love for, you're not seeing any of their flaws. You're focusing on all of the parts of them that you really like. And you are, it does something. It does something to you. It does something to the way the world works for you better as you are focused on all of the things that you like, all of the things that you love, all of the things that you prefer. When you're focused in that way, all the world flows better for you. You don't have to do it. You might say, well, yeah, great. If I was in love with somebody, of course the world's going great. But you know what? Abraham has pointed out that you could do that exact same thing by focusing on the aspects of 100 people, all of the aspects that you love and prefer in here and there and in 100 different people, instead of 100 aspects of one person that you love. If you looked at 100, do you see what I mean? 100 aspects in one person, or those 100 aspects in 100 different people, it would do the same thing. And actually, that is a profound thing to ponder for a minute, because it reveals something about the nature of focus and attention. That's what it does. It reveals something about that. The Honeymoon Effect, that's the book by Bruce Lipton. Go look at it. And Spontaneous Evolution, that's the one that shows, so now he's a cellular biologist, and he points out that many millions of years ago, when life was first starting on the planet, what first evolved was one-celled organisms. And they got to the point where the one-celled organism was just about as evolved as it could be. And the whole world was covered in a kind of primordial slime, where everything was this single-celled organism, jillions of them everywhere. And the next level of evolution wasn't that these single cells got way more efficient or different or bigger or whatever. What happened is that all of these single cells began to organize. And they came together in clumpy groups where certain parts of them started performing certain functions of the cell, and others, like, so you are a being in a way just like any one of your cells. You have all the systems, the circulatory, the what do they call the reproductive, the circulatory, reproductive, elimination, all of the different things, the respiratory, all of the different things that your cell can do to metabolize air and excrete waste and reproduce itself and circulate, stuff within it, all of those things every cell can do, and your body can do too. They're the same thing. And so when you organized, it was like different clumps of your cells organized to perform the same functions that each individual cell has. Do you see what I mean? So you organized together into a great big group that is doing the same thing that each individual thing was doing. You've got a respiratory system, you've got a circulatory system, you've got a reproductive system, you've got an elimination system, you've got all of this. It's the same. You are 50 trillion individual, separate consciousnesses. You have pulled yourself together through intention, through whatever, into this wholeness that you are. And the next evolution, so we are cells in the body of humanity. And the next evolution is not a super single organism. It's not a more amazing cell. It's higher organization of the family, the community of cells. Higher organization of the community of cells. That's what's next. It's happened before. This is part of natural evolution. This is our higher self coming into consciousness is going to equate into us forming a more perfect union amongst each other as we understand how we are organizing and how to lean into the blessed loving organization, the organizational force that is the universe. And how is it organizing us? Well, oddly, it's organizing us along a very, very simple line. It's spin. And that spin is also the center of the spin of that, the one side of the organization is love. It's gravity. It's love. It's spin. And it's just as easy as that. It's just as simple as that. And also incredibly complex, because it is a complexity beyond imagining, and a harmony and a symphony. So who am I? I believe that once we get a handle on this, that we're going to be able to tap into better sources of energy. I hope that I will be able to see some of this actually on the ground with my physical eyes. Right now, we're pretty enamored with the fossil fuel, and we're heading in our idea of green energy is not exactly as exalted as I wish that we would get. I wish we would get a little more, because solar isn't the way. Certainly not. If you believe this movie, and I'm going to recommend it, so please go watch it, The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. I used to, right now, right here, if I knew how to do this. See, I need to get better tech too. I just do this as a meditation. But, every day I see that actually it's pointing me towards physical things that I should do too. It's not just a meditation, it's bleeding into my life. I need to know how to share these videos with you without doing it the way I was doing it before, which was just shoving them into the link, the description of the video, my links list into the description of the video. I did that for like 7 or 8 months. And in doing so, nobody ever found me because I did not describe my video as what it was. And but I was pretty lame at first too. I thought I was just doing like a speech, like I was going to get up and do a keynote speech to some organization that has recognized that I know what I'm talking about, so let's book her, let's pay her airfare to New Zealand to give us a speech. I don't know. You fantasize about how things might play out. But that's not exactly what it's turned into. It's turned into actually an oral meditation for me and my better and better ability to be able to speak on this topic. Now, I don't know what's going to come of it. I have no idea. Right now, I just do the show. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? So anyway, the movie is The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. And they're claiming that there is a conspiracy going on more than just a little to keep us on fossil fuel and to keep us using copious amounts when some things might have gotten us off of it. A solar panel that works way too efficiently. Our patent office snatches these things off the market and squirrels them away into some vault somewhere saying, we can't let you do this because of national security. Well, I almost understand what the national security is. But on the other hand, we have other points of national security that are making us way less secure. And we're sort of between a rock and a hard place. Do we let the people go off into the woods and have their own energy source so that they can do their own thing? And right now, with people not knowing who they are, what's going to happen is some crazy ass millionaire, it doesn't even have to be a billionaire anymore, some crazy ass millionaire is going to go off into the woods and, get himself enough technology and these systems of energy where he doesn't ever have to come back out. But he's going to arm himself to the teeth. He's going to think he's the next iteration of Jesus Christ. Only that seems kind of crazy too, because who would Jesus bomb? Who would Jesus kill? Who would Jesus shoot with an AK-47? I don't know. But you're still going to have people who are going to do that. Your versions of David Koresh or your Jim Joneses or your, whatever, your Kim Jong-un's. He's kind of the same sort of thing. He's a cult leader. But he's got nuclear weapons and he's holding us all hostage on the planet. But if we really understood who we were, we would understand. Yeah, I don't even know how to begin to say some things that I would like to say from this perspective. It's hard to say from this perspective. But every single one of us, in some profound way, is right. And if you would add up all the right that everyone is, you would see the whole picture and you'd go, oh my God, that is way different than I thought it was. Anyway, who am I? Who am I? And why do I even say these things? Because I want peace on my planet. I want us to build that smarter world, IBM, and I'd like us to do it now. I'm tired of the political arguments about the benefits or not benefits of helping people. You know, if you could help people on the one hand, build systems that provide opportunity everywhere, teach people who they are and how to be a part of the whole in some kind of an effective, blessed way. Right now, we're still struggling with, we're struggling with things kind of early on in our evolution, shoving human beings into being cogs in a machine, that. Who are we? Who are we? And where are we going? I'll tell you where I think we're going. If we're going anywhere, if we're gonna be here to go anywhere, then where we're headed is sustainability. Let's just assume that we're headed for sustainability. Because if we aren't headed for sustainability, then we're headed for not sustainability, which means we're on our way out, and I don't even want to contemplate that one. So we're not headed towards not sustainability, we're headed towards sustainability. Let's just assume that. So, what's the problems? The problem is we don't know who we are. Because if we did, it would be so easy. We are a life force. We are life force energy on planet Earth that wants to live, that wants to be, that wants to continue. That's who we are. What do we need to continue? Well, from Bashar's point of view, from part of the 135.711 download, the 1 is the allness that we are all a part of. The 2, no, there isn't a 2. You go from 1 to 3. Because when you try to hit 2, the binary, the polarized position, the binary view always implies a center view that can see both of those. And so the 1 goes not from 1 to 2, but from 1 to 3. And if you always find yourself sitting in a position that appears to be paradoxical, where you can see that side, and they appear to be opposites of one another but you can see both of them, and they both exist in the same universe, so they can't be mutually exclusive, but you're sitting there. If you find yourself sitting there, feel good about that, because that's a good place. That's the Holy Trinity, by the way. That is the Holy Trinity alluded to in religious lore. That holy view, that third position where you can see the binary, the polarity. You can see both sides and you're not trapped in it. And then the 5 is the 5 rules of the 5 laws that you can't change. The 5 things, hardcore things of existence that are fixed. The first one is you exist. You're not winking out. Now, I think you can scatter because you actually are 5 trillion individual souls that have pulled into a win-win commonality into the being that you are. The human being that you are is actually not a single consciousness. It is 50 trillion that have thrown their lot in with the one that you are. So you already are familiar with this pattern. You exist. Everything is here and now. The all are one and the one is all. What you put out is what you get back. It's the only actionable one of the laws. And the fifth one is everything changes except for the laws. So that the rolling physical form around you will always change. You cannot hold any of that into fixed static form. Without the way you change any of it, the way you hold it into place is you focus there. And as you focus there, that momentum right there holds and builds from there. But even that causes stuff around that to start building a momentum from where you are, and that changes everything around you. Everything changes except for the laws. And how does your focus and attention, how does it work? Who are you and how does this work? Okay, that's the 5. Then the 7 is the 7 things that you need physically to stay alive. Air. And in the general order, that if you don't get it, you will cease to move. You will grow still, if you will, in your physical form. The first one is air, then water, then sleep. Because if you don't constantly dip back into the well of the wholeness, the one being that you are, and you just go it on your own without touching back to who you are connected to, you will go psychotic before you die of starvation. Then food is the next one you need. Then shelter. It has to be any kind of sheltering environment. It doesn't actually have to be a house. You don't need a house, but you need a sheltering environment for your physical form in some way. Kindness of climate, or somewhere where you can get away from the harshness of the climate, or any like that. And then the 6th one, and you really do need this. And if you didn't have this, you would grow sad and grow still fairly quickly too. You need to have relationship. You need to have a relationship with something, and it doesn't have to be another human being. It could be a non-human being. It could be the wholeness, the cosmos. You could have a relationship with the allness. That is a legitimate relationship that will sustain you. But you have to have some sort of relationship. And then the 7th one is you have to have some kind of expression. You have to express yourself somehow. Your love, your desire, what you care about, who you are, because that is who you really are, you have to express. And if you don't find a way to express, you will grow still. I think that's actually the secret meaning behind my desire to do this show. And everybody who finds themselves on the internet, blogging, or, they're travel blogging, or they're political blogging, or they're, talking about food, or farming, or, growing mushrooms, or, I actually have a mushroom garden, not psilocybin. It's oyster mushrooms and wine caps and such. Mostly oyster mushrooms of different sorts: Italian, blue, snow, and golden. Learned how to do that. It's very fun. And actually, I could have done an internet thing on. I could have done that. Gotten myself a slick little whatever and post it up on the internet, and everybody's looking at my mushrooms like, oh, isn't that cool? And then I show you how to cook them and how delicious they are. And a lot of people are doing that. They're called to express themselves. And that's great. Add it all up. We are all an addition problem, not a subtraction one. You don't have to decide if this is true or that's true. You have to figure out how you can form a frame big enough so that somehow everything's true, because it is. Now, if you tell me some kind of baloney about something that isn't true, but for you it's true, and you stand in front of me and you say, this is the truth. When I look at you, what I can do is I can see that, first of all, you seem to believe what you're saying. So you believe it's true, and then I know that the truth, there is a truth. The truth is you're standing in front of me believing something and saying words about that thing over there. That I can take in. And so something about what you're telling me is true. And I don't have to just look at you and just subtract it and go, you're talking nonsense. I'm subtracting you. You don't have to do that. Add everything in. It's an addition problem, not a subtraction one. It's not an or, it's an and. I am correct in these things that I'm saying, but if you're coming from a different direction, you're correct too, in some way, in some sense. Figure it out. And so, if everything's true, then what does that mean? Well, everything isn't true. Not exactly. Not exactly. When everything's true, then nothing's true, and there's no meaning. Actually, I used to kind of get into this crack with my daughter when we'd have these conversations. We'd get into these non-resistant places, flying places, kind of talking about the universe and such. And you'd get into a place where there was no resistance whatsoever, but then when you try to move in a direction of saying what might be better, well, you're in this place where everything's perfect. So why are you fussing about that? Why, and I sort of touched on this for myself yesterday. I don't know if it translated, but the idea of acknowledging that the world is absolutely perfect, exactly the way it is. In any given moment, it is whole and it is complete and it is showing you a whole picture of something. It's perfect. And yet, in this perfection, still there is a place where it is valid that I can prefer something else that would be better. I can identify some way to make this already perfect thing better. It's actually a tricky point. The world is perfect and there is nothing wrong with it. The wrong with it, I'm air quoting, is just the fact that we don't understand it and we're not using it properly. We don't understand gravity. We don't understand love. We don't understand the fractal, holographic wholeness that each and every one of us is. And so your job, your actual job, is to see yourself both as a completely isolated, separate, individual, autonomous spin of wholeness that you are. See yourself both as that and at the same time as inseparably one with the whole field that you see around you. Now, that's actually quite a tall order and not at all what we usually look at the world like, I am both autonomously, individually, completely separate from the whole, while at the same time I am inseparably one with the whole. There's your paradox there. And you are somewhere standing right in the middle of that. Who am I? And how is this better understanding going to help us understand the magic of life, the magic of who we are, help us plug our technologies into better energy sources, and then when we find that free, clean source of energy that we can all plug into and completely go off on our own in some place in the world and just squat and homestead with our can you imagine what our future is? We just got to make it there. Let's make it to our sustainable future, people, because it's going to be really, really interesting. Really interesting where we are going. We're gonna fix the problems we've got going on right now, and we're gonna open up scoodles and oodles of new cans of worms to figure out and work with. But I think the very first and most important thing that we need to do is we need to understand who we are and how this works so that we can love each other, so that we can work with each other, so that we can get along with each other, so that we can we need to learn how to soothe one another into better behavior, not punish one another into better behavior, or I don't know. I realize a lot of people are such bad actors. You want to punish them. You want to ostracize them. You want to deny their humanity because they're so awful. But what you really have to understand is how the mechanism works and who Hitler really was to us. He was a great illustration of something, and just see it without emotion. Don't worry about the horror and stuff. Just see it from a distance without any emotion involved. Just look at it. Look at that whole display of what happened was a very raw illustration of the playing out of a paradigm in our innocence, in our ignorance, in our we were so naive. The German people were so naive. And you know what? The German people were people. They didn't do it. We did it. People did it. I used to, I was a student of the Holocaust and World War II, the Nazi phenomenon, read lots of wonderful novels, historical fiction, everything from The Eye of the Needle and The Eagle Has Landed, and what was the one with the, what was this one? I can't remember the name of that book. And it's making me thinking about that's making me lose my bigger train of thought, which was that I used to console myself by thinking that other people had done that. You know, Germans did it. And it was way back a long time ago. And so it didn't have anything specifically to do with me. And that was how I was able to study it. And then you have to take it into yourself and realize, oh, wait a minute, Germans didn't do this. Germans were just human beings who thought certain things at the time and reacted in certain ways to certain ideas. Most of them really having no idea that it could get so dark, because people are good. We're good. We love our country. How could this have turned so bad? Now, the ones at the very center of that, you can almost see the spin of that being more intense at the center of that, and it was a philosophy. It had to do with the idea that conflict was fundamental. You have to be in conflict and always proving yourself, and that's to keep strong and to make sure that that the belief that competition was. There's geese flying by. That competition was a vital, important part of the equation. That was part of his mistake, but they all thought that. And the idea that some of us are less worthy than others. Some people really are bad people, and other people are good people. And if all of the good people would murder all of the bad people, then somehow the world would be a better place. What a preposterous. And so you see that actually Hitler, when he was born, baby Hitler wasn't a bad guy. He was a little baby. And actually then he went through World War I. Who he became was created throughout his life, throughout his experiences of the world, and the cruelties and the unfairnesses and the idiocracies and the injustices, and they got him believing in the cause for World War I. And then, to his mind, because he believed this mythical, passionate, whatever thing that they sold him, and then they sold out. They bargained. They didn't fight to the end. They settled. And that never set well with Hitler. He hated that. He absolutely hated that, and he was angry about that from then on. He started. It was by 1923 was the beer hall putsch, when he's got people already trying to overthrow the government of Germany. It was only 5 years after the end of World War I. He was still fighting World War I. And then he shrewdly figured out how to get power. And then he anyway, that's why I call the World War the World War. Instead of World War I and World War II, I call it the World War Parts 1 and 2. And I'm hoping that will help us in our consciousness not immediately assume that the pattern is, oh, then there's World War III and World War IV. I don't think there's ever going to be a World War IV. If there was a World War III, we're done. I have heard that there are entities that the one intervention that they will, that the one place where they will put their foot down or use powers that they have to stop us, because they have the prime directive is in play. There are other entities that are watching us, perhaps, and they are not interfering because of the prime directive. You don't interfere if you can help it. You need to help them to evolve on their own. Although the problem is that we were genetically modified in the first place. So if that's true, we probably are being watched because we're considered armed and dangerous. They're not going to move in and say howdy until we figure out who we are. And we drop our weapons and we turn our what is the biblical thing about turning our guns into plowshares? I guess they wouldn't say that in the Bible because they didn't have guns back in biblical times. our weapons, our swords, perhaps our swords are pounded into plowshares. That would make sense. Anyway, I don't know. I've never seen an extraterrestrial. I'm not one of those people who claim that I've been abducted. They might be just sitting back and saying, well, she's doing just fine, on her own. And if we taint her with our presence, then only the wackadoos will listen to her. The mainstreamers shall lose them. I don't know. Bashar says that there's going to be full contact by the year 2037. So I've got to make it to at least that. Now, I would like to make it to, I have said 120. And the reason is that the only way you make it to 120 is if you have figured out how to harness a full complement of a full team of experts, perhaps, helping you with everything from, how you're cooking your food and, the house that you're living in. And you probably are not you're not a witch in a forest living all by yourself at 120. Although if you are, then you have harnessed the energies of the forest and the very, the critters are helping you somehow. Anyway, I ramble, and I realize that I just passed, that was a beautiful number to see, 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. I think that's sufficient. I need to start my day. I need to go cook us breakfast. There might be golf involved. The good news, did I say yesterday that our little Airbnb project, the first day that it was up for rent was the 4th. Is that true? The 4th. Yes, that is true. And it has been rented every day since then. Today is the 9th, and it has already made enough money to pay the mortgage. So that's wonderful. Anyway, just had to share that. Until tomorrow, when I will come back and ramble and bamble about the same topic. We're going to talk about what humanity can do to get from where we are to where we want to be. I think we need to get over fossil fuel, but it's not going to happen overnight. We need fossil fuel. All of you multi-billionaires who depend on the fossil fuel income, I would diversify, get all the technology that you need to plug in anywhere, and get prepared, get ready for free, clean energy. It is in our future if we have a future. If we have a future, it is this. If we don't find this somehow, then we will fizzle, we will cinder, we will smoke ourselves to death on planet Earth, or have to diminish. I don't think we have to do that. I think our technology is a good thing. Our ability to desalinate ocean water, our ability to resequester carbon back into the ground so that we are no longer exacerbating a natural planetary warming event that we could weather if we were smart. But we have to be smart. We have to pull together everything that we know about everything. Pull it all together in one place. Add it all up. How does it add up? Who am I? Who are we? Anyway, we're going to talk about it some more tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. For now, I got to go back and start my regular day. Love y'all. Do your best. Face to the positive. Hands on your, sit on your hands if you're in a negative. Formulate your way back to the positive. Things are always working out for you, even if you just stubbed your toe, or the house burned down, or uh, something, your loved one just died. Whatever happens, no matter what, 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 things are always working out for you. Things are always working out for me. That's part of my equations. I do these same equations every day. Things are always working out for me. How is that possible? Anyway, until tomorrow, may the source be with you.